lot of the work-life balance for me comes down to, again, keeping that open communication of when do I think I'm taking on too much? What are my expectations for what I would like to do? There's certainly folks who enjoy work, are extremely passionate about it. Um, and those that are like, I like to make sure I have those firm boundaries of I work 40 hours a week. I will do work really hard during that time when I'm at my desk, but then afterwards I want to make sure to have time for my family life or just outside of work. So keeping that communication open between what are the expectations for myself and my manager has been pretty important to make sure that we're always on the same page around that. And certainly there are going to be times when there's deadlines and pressures, but um, if there's the expectation that it's not all the time, and we know that there's going to be other times when it's quieter, then we certainly can work around that too.
After being done with exams, I think that it's just a matter of being able to know yourself. I think what has worked for me, especially during this last year and a half when you can be working 24/7, it's just knowing what works for me when I do my best work, when I'm the most efficient. I found, for example, I'm definitely a morning person. So I'll try to make sure that I have free time in the morning to do more technical work and just where I need to do a little bit more of deep thinking, whereas the rest of the day is filled up with meetings, follow-ups, things like that. That's what has worked for me as well outside of work. So knowing what do I enjoy doing and what re-energizes me and making sure I leave time for that.
I have found it ebbs and flows throughout the course of the year. It's like we all have high workload points in the year, and being able to look ahead and understand when that's coming, I think it's a good stress management technique. So I'm not caught off guard when I have a week where I have to spend more time at the office or online these days. Generally speaking, I would say I'm working somewhere between, let's say, 40 and 55 hours a week, and I would say it ebbs. It's 40 hours a week during my normal time. During my peak periods, it might be in that kind of mid 50 range for a few weeks at a stretch. But the ability to manage that has, I think, while it was initially really challenging in kind of the early stages of this pandemic, it's gotten easier in a lot of ways. I would say the ability to check email remotely, log on for short periods of time if there's some deliverable you have has gotten much easier for me to manage. And so even when I have those 50, 60-hour work weeks occasionally throughout the year, there's so much more flexibility in how to handle those, that it's become a little less stressful than it used to be during those peak times.
I still think you just figure it out. If you've got a spouse who supports you and you can balance who picks up the kids on what days and who takes them to soccer practice, and you do that. I remember pulling into the garage and having the girls jump in the car and we'd head out to the soccer field or ballet lessons or softball or whatever it was. But, the other thing that I would just say is I think COVID has really kind of changed maybe how people are going to be able to find that balance, or maybe they've lost some of it too. But I think with COVID, we've learned that you don't have to be in the office every day. And I think that gives families and parents a whole nother level of flexibility, because you don't have the commute time back and forth. You're already there. You can run and take a break and then come back and then finish something up after the kids go to bed. I think that you figure it out, well, you've got to do it. But I think it's also evolving in how as a business, we're going to allow our employees to actually work.
As far as kind of how I keep the work-life balance piece of it, part of it is just being able to set the ground rules and following it, especially when you're working full-time. You can work, say, 40 hours, or you can work 60 hours and nobody's going to stop you. So part of it is just prioritization, right? As you kind of progress through and your priorities kind of change a little bit too when you start having like a family and relationships and stuff like that. So you're going to make a conscious decision on where do you want your time to be at. Is it work or is it the relationships outside of work? So it's a personal choice there.
What I would say is that, actuarial science in the field gives you the ability, if you want, there are jobs that are certainly, a 40-hour work week. where, you leave at 5 every day. There are other jobs that you can get that are, 70 hours if that's more your style. I'm in between there, to be clear, but you can certainly find the work-life balance for you within the actuarial field. And again, and this even goes to the company I'm at now and the previous companies I've had. You have people that work 70-hour weeks, you have people that work 40-hour weeks, and it really just kind of depends on your style and what you want from a work-life balance, but there certainly is the work-life balance that you want.